Welcome to Ontopicretro, episode 28. I'm John Cummins, and joining me tonight is Bozo, and we're talking about Wave Race 64. How's it going, man?
Hey, John. Hello, everyone listening.
This game has been on my list for a while, and I mean, I already told you, but I wish I had some more time to put into it before the show, but most of my memories go deep to the past from when this game released. But I think you've played it a lot more recently and a lot more than I got to over the last month. So I know that you will have plenty to share when we get down into it.
Yep, I am ready. I've got quite a lot to say about the gameplay. It's a lot meatier than I expected, that's for sure. But how many hours do you think you spent on this one this time around?
I may have put 3 or 4 hours in. I didn't play near as much as I wanted to. I had an afternoon where I got a pretty good amount of time, and then the rest of it was just trying to play some single races here and there when I found time.
Gotcha. Did you get how far did you unlock in the championship mode?
Oh man, I do not remember. It's been. I mean, most of my time was put in early March too. I can't remember how far I got in. I don't think I made it very far though. I tried the time trials a few times for certain races. I definitely tried on Sunset Bay, the one that we were doing the contest on.
Yep.
My times were not anywhere near what your guys' times were, so I did not even put them up there.
That's fair. It would have been weird if you won the championships.
Yeah. No, I was just trying to see where if I could even run it anywhere close to what you guys were in it. Yeah, I'm not as good at wave race as I used to be. But kind of speaking on the contest, that kind of reminds me I need to do a little bit of housekeeping at the beginning here. As I mentioned, the contest, that would be Retro Rewind Champions, a new contest that we've started for season 2 of On Topic Retro, where every month the Retro Rewind game that is selected by the listeners in the Discord, I create a contest specifically tailored to that game, where the community has a chance to win a $10 card of their choice from whatever shop they want to shop from. And just so have it, the man that's here with us tonight is the one that won this last month's Retro Rewind Champions contest with a blistering time on the Sunset Bay course. I think we talked about it on the on retrologic last week that you were pretty dang close to the speedrun record, like a second off.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to learn that after I got under like sub 110. I was curious, see what the speed runs are like, and like I think the world record was a very low 105, and that
I believe so.
I can't even wrap my head around how they do that. But I definitely watched some of the speed runs and helped that inform my runs as I whittled down the time on Sunset Bay. So
yeah,
it helped a lot, man. And it helped a lot with my understanding of the game, and I'm kind of glad I did that first, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that just being able to have that drive to try to cut your time down is just teaching the mechanics as you go.
Yep, very, very important in Wave Race 64, where you have to not only learn the course, you have to learn the wave patterns.
Yep,
which is a whole nother dimension to a racing game that is very unique, I thought.
But again, that contest is over, and I announced a new contest at the beginning of the month for our retro rewind game, Dynamite Heady. This is an even more basic contest. It's just a high score contest. Whoever can get the highest score posted. I mean, even if I think there's plenty of different things that give you points in the game. So even if you beat the game, you might not have the same score as somebody else who beat the game. So definitely post your scores. You can post them at the score is listed at the bottom of the level complete screen. Every time you beat a level, your score gets calculated and totaled out at the bottom. So you can just kind of submit a screenshot of that screen as it finishes up at the end of each level. And then whoever has the highest score submitted to me by the end of this month will win a $10 card. And there is, at the time of this recording, another 18 days left in the month. So there's still plenty of time to get those in.
Yeah, and if nothing else, don't sleep on Dynamite Heady. This is a great Genesis game.
This is, I threw a couple treasure games in the mix this month just to, make sure that we got one to play. I would have been fine either way. Alien Soldier is also a very good game.
Oh yeah, super tough, but also really good.
Yeah. That's pretty much it for housekeeping. I don't want to stay here too long on it. So we're going to dig right in and get into experiences. Like I said, most of mine will be coming from the past, but you definitely probably played a lot more than I have recently, so you'll have a way more recent experience to share. And I'll let you go ahead and go first.
Okay, yeah, this was actually my first time playing Wave Race 64 this past month. I had no nostalgia going in. I think I only played maybe 5 minutes of it on the N64 Virtual Console years ago, but I never actually took the time to sit down and really learn the controls and learn what it's all about. I just kind of thought I was I was just really bad at it. But yeah, like I said before, I was pleasantly surprised by it. I think it had aged remarkably well, considering how early it was on the N64, a console that is notorious for having games that don't age particularly well. I think it holds up, and
Oh yeah.
but yeah, I consider myself a pretty big racing game fan. I I will sing the praises of F-Zero GX all day, and all the Need for Speeds and whatnot. But yeah, Wave Race kind of threw me for a loop to really question my understanding of what racing games can be, and especially with the water physics. That was the key thing that really separated Wave Race from its contemporaries, and
Yeah, it
it took a while to
gives it a
wrap my
whole
head around.
different gives it a whole different feel. It's not, to me, it's a game that's a lot less like pick up and play friendly. Like it definitely takes some time to get in and get used to. But I mean, they give you even at the beginning, you can do like the stunt mode and like different things that kind of get used to how the jet skis react to the waves and things like that.
Hmm. Yeah, I was really glad that I took the time to read the manual before jumping in, because there's some hidden techniques you can do that really make a difference and aren't immediately obvious, especially if you're coming from racing games where you're driving cars. It's not immediately obvious that these techniques would be a thing, but They are, and they made a difference. I I pretty much just did time trials for my first, I would say like 4 or 5 hours, just grinding away in Sunset Bay, um, just like learning the controls and pop on a podcast and have at it for a while in time trials. And
Yeah.
that I think really helped my understanding of how this game controls. And I'm really glad I did that before championship for sure.
Yeah. There's just, there's usually with Nintendo a game as a, kind of easy to play, hard to master type uh, mechanics or gameplay setup. And this game can be very challenging just right off the bat. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just, I mean, the very first time you race the course and they're, explaining to you the buoys and everything. And there's some times where like you're just going to miss them. Like it's pretty, the first time playing, it's not going to feel comfortable whatsoever.
Yeah,
And
that too is a whole nother system to learn, the buoys.
yeah. And I mean, I played this game, I would have been 10 or 11 years old when it first came out. Actually, when it first came out, I would have been 9 years old, but I didn't play it until the next year, so I would have been 10. Uh, and this game was very hard for me to wrap my mind around uh, for a long time. I know I had some friends that were really good at it, and I just got better playing with them over time and learning different things that they do. But I think, kind of as I mentioned earlier, I really like doing the stunts and stuff, the in those courses a lot when I was a kid because there's not as much pressure on it as doing the actual race.
Right. And stunts are cool.
Yeah, I mean it,
Extreme 90s.
and I mean I want to say this game is probably like the second N64 game that I ever played, and really the water was just amazing. Like I just remember playing it and thinking in my head, this water looks real, like you know, similar to things that I saw playing Mario 64. I was like, I don't know how games are ever going to get better than this. And, you know, as you said, the game actually holds up really well. The water physics still look amazing uh, for a 64-bit console. I mean, look good for probably even, I mean, GameCube. I don't know. The Blue Storm looks a whole lot better than this.
Yeah, that's true. They really put the programming grunt to work on Wave Race 64, and it shows.
Yeah,
Definitely, to anyone listening, check out the Modern Vintage Gamer video on Wave Race 64, which is a technical breakdown of how the waves work from a technical perspective. It's very, very fascinating. Highly
yeah, it's
recommended.
pretty amazing. The yeah, I played this game a ton. It was like one of the few games that that me and my buddies had that we could all play together pretty early on. N64 is kind of known for being that multiplayer console, but a lot of people don't remember the early years. It kind of took a little while to get it rolling as that multiplayer console. Really, until Mario Kart and GoldenEye came out.
Yeah, four
Wave,
players just wasn't even a thing for a
yeah,
while.
Wave Race was kind of it there for a while. I think you might have. Well, no, Pilot Wings is still one player. I think it might have had some multiplayer modes, but I don't, the main portion of the game is mostly single player, I think. But yeah, no, this was it was kind of an odd choice for Nintendo to lead with this game as far as the racing game goes. We wouldn't get Mario Kart till a little bit later, at least.
Yeah. Um, yeah, one thing I noticed, and I couldn't really put my finger on it, was that this game reminds me of F-Zero on the SNES, and I don't know why. Just like the way the tracks are, the way the championship is set up, it's not like stylistically or aesthetically the same at all, but just I don't know. There's something about this school of Nintendo EAD design in racing games that it feels like a through line that you can link the heritage of. I don't know, just a
I,
thing I was
I
thinking
mean,
about.
kind of, it does have that feel.
Yeah, I
Um,
especially was thinking of it on the snowy stage. That felt like a successor of sorts to F Zero's snow stage on the Super Nintendo. But I don't know, just a thought.
yeah, because I mean, uh, in a way, this game probably kind of paved the way for F Zero X. You know, that game wouldn't come out until a couple of years later,
Hmm.
and it kind of to what you said, it really has that feel. It doesn't, speed's not really there, um, but just kind of the roundabout way you work your way through the courses kind of has an F Zero type feel to it.
Hmm, for sure. Yeah, X was pushing technical boundaries in a different way.
Yep.
It seems to be a common theme with Nintendo's racing games from this era that they were
Well, and
all
you
kind
kind
of
of
boundary
yeah,
pushing technically.
you have to appreciate that they weren't willing to just put out a like a Ridge Racer or you know just the next car racing game, or they're always it has to be something that is over the top or out of the norm for them to grab onto and put something out.
For sure. You know what the Switch needs? A wave race game
Yes, I
that would
don't.
round out their portfolio.
It kind of falls in that category to me where it's kind of like 1080 snowboarding, where I don't know that we'll ever get another one because there's been other games that are, other jet ski games that have been made, and I think that it's not new anymore. It's not fresh. It's not Nintendo's bag to just make another wave race because they can. I just I don't know if we'll ever see it. I mean, we
Mm,
can't even get
yeah.
another F Zero. So
Well, I was wondering who was your favorite racer? There's four different racers in this game. Did you have one that you gravitated to when you were playing?
yes, I'm trying to figure out his name. I always like the big guy.
Mariner, D Mariner.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
same. That was my go-to guy.
Kind of that has that same. Um, to me, he's like it's like racing with Bowser in Mario Kart.
Hmm. Yep,
It's the
same
top
like
speed guy.
yep that same archetype for sure. Yeah, I thought that I was really fascinated with the different podcasts I was listening to about Wave Race 64 and all the different opinions people had of the racers. Because a lot of people I found preferred uh, the woman, Stewart,
Yep.
um, who has good handling, but I thought was very hard to win with. Like, way harder than the other ones.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel
Well,
like playing that was like the hard difficulty when you picked her.
yeah.
And
Well,
then conversely, oh, go ahead.
she has kind of like the reverse stats of the big guy. So
Yeah, yeah, and then conversely, people were saying like, "Oh, Mariner, he's the worst one," and I'm like, "Did we play the same game?"
yeah, I don't really get that. I'd be like trying to be conquering Mario Kart with Toad. The
Yeah,
acceleration's there, but no top speed.
yep, yeah, and
Which
top speed is so important in this game because you really need it to catch back up in case of a mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
And Mariner just absolutely excels at that. And handling you can correct for, and we'll touch on that later. But there's ways to get around the poor handling of Mariner if you know the advanced techniques.
Yep.
But yeah,
And he's probably kind of like the more advanced player. He gives you the top speed, but his handling is kind of doo doo.
mm-hmm.
So I think we've kind of nailed out experience. We can go ahead and start talking about the game. Uh, Through the game discussion, we'll talk about development and sorts. So this game was released in September 27th of 96 in Japan, November 4th in 96 North America. And if you were in the PAL region, you'd have to wait till the 29th of April in the following year of 97, which seems like a very long wait for Wave Race. The game was developed, as we've already mentioned, by Nintendo EAD. This one was produced by Shigeru Miyamoto, which kind of is probably why the technical prowess is there on the game. He probably demanded polish, or he was gonna, probably just say no to it, if not. And the development of the game was led by Shinya Takahashi, which I believe was another Mario 64 developer, which I believe is where kind of got some of his 3D experience. And apparently, none of the other programmers for the game had any 3D experience, so they basically, this is kind of how I feel like early days of the N64 development came about, was just teaching everybody 3D, rendering and how 3D games are supposed to work, with all the things that were learned from Mario 64, probably even at the same time. And apparently one of these other developers that were working with Takahashi created basically like a tech demo that had the water physics in it. And that's kind of how this game came about. I think Miyamoto was very impressed with the tech demo and saw something there and said, let's make a game. And from there, you start to see the game develop. And from what I was reading, this game was supposed to have boats, which would have been interesting. We kind of were talking about this before we hopped on and started recording, but this would have basically been a Hydro Thunder, a few years before Hydro Thunder, maybe would have taken off if they would have done that. Just kind of interesting to think about.
Yeah, it was probably more lucrative to lock down a deal with Kawasaki though in the long run.
Oh yeah, for sure. All the advertising that's in this game, different things.
Product placement that works though.
It does. So yeah, as they were kind of working around the boats, the game started to be referred to as F-Zero on water. But ultimately, I don't think Miyamoto really liked the idea of boats, because there were already some games out there kind of taking advantage of boat racing, and was trying to figure out a way to stand out. And I don't know how this happened, but apparently Tim Stamper from Rare made a suggestion that they use jet skis, and it kind of took off from there. I don't know if it was just like a visit, or maybe they were working on. I mean, I guess at that time Rare was still heavily involved with Nintendo, so it's probably they're looking at other things or developing something else and made the suggestion. I just found it kind of interesting, uh, just how we got jet skis instead of boats. But the demo, there are some like videos and screenshots of the original prototype for the game using the boats, and it does. It looks like an F-Zero car, but on water. That's that's kind of what I found for development. There wasn't a whole lot of. I guess I should have watched the video that you suggested, so I would have more information on the actual water physics and how they work. But I did not do that.
Yeah, it's pretty technical too, but it's worth a
Yeah,
watch.
it's probably not as fun to listen to on a podcast without any visuals.
Yeah.
So with that out of the way, we'll probably go ahead and move on to the actual gameplay of the game uh, to keep us awake. And let's see. What was you said you read the manual? What were like some of the more surprising things about the racing technique that you found interesting as far as gameplay goes?
Oh yeah, sure. So there's a few things in the that you can find in the manual that are of note. Um, and probably the most important one is the quick turn, and that is different from normal turning, where normal turning is just moving left or right on the x-axis of the control stick.
Yep,
But if you do a diagonal down or diagonal down left or diagonal down right, this will slide your jet ski at a harder angle
it's kind of more
along
like a
turning.
pivot.
Yeah. Um, but that is indispensable for hairpin turns. Like
Yep.
that's probably like the number one thing to learn when you're learning this game is to get that technique down and remember that, oh yeah, there's other ways to use the control stick than just left or right. And I think that kind of goes to show how Nintendo is probably thinking more laterally with what they can do with a control stick. I mean, being back then, it was
Oh
still
yeah.
pretty novel. I'm sure that was
Well,
part
even
of
the
the reasoning for that implementation of this.
I mean, even your position of your jet ski on the other axis is plays a big part, especially if you're coming off a big wave or a ramp or something
Yeah,
like that. You definitely don't want to land on the nose of your jet ski or the back
yeah,
of your
yeah.
jet ski.
That is super underrated. When I was doing the Sunset Bay time trials, there's a section on the section with the ramp right after that where there's
Yep.
3 or 4 big waves that come, and usually my runs would come down to that segment, whether or not I nailed the waves, because you have to, at the peak of one of the waves, you have to angle the control stick down, and by doing that, you position your jet ski such that it bounces on top of the other waves.
Yep. Kind of
In,
skids
in
across the top of them.
Yep, instead of just kind of like crashing through them and losing speed.
Yep.
And this is something you'd never have to think about in any other racing game. Um,
No. Yeah,
but
because I mean, you basically have the freedom if your watercraft is in the air, like you have the freedom to rotate it almost in any way that you want with enough airtime.
yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, it's it definitely becomes very interesting if you're doing the stunt mode and you're hitting the ramps at trying to do the stunts and getting your jet ski in the right position after the whatever stunt you do is very important, or you'll wipe out,
Hmm.
and you won't get any of your points. So
And you can also dive underwater
yes,
to take a shortcut on a few tracks, which
yep.
is pretty cool if you know how to use that. I
If
didn't.
you could
I'd
pull it
only
off,
I only ended up using it on the nighttime city.
yeah,
Um, but that is also cool. Also in the manual, there's the R button. I actually didn't use this very much. What is this? What did that do again? It kind of does like a slide where you're
yeah. It's
okay. Yeah, press the R button to slide on the water surface. I could never figure out a use for that. That it never
no,
seemed to
you
be useful when compared to like the diagonal down or left.
yeah, you want it to work like a power slide, like Mario Kart, but it doesn't work like that.
Right. It just kind of like just sends you flying at a wide angle.
It it does, and it kind of gets you in trouble.
Yep.
I I never really mastered that one either. It's
Um,
I was gonna say there's there's just so many things that differentiates this from pretty much any other racing game. Uh, all the different physics that are at play that require you to get the time that you're looking for, especially in some of the later uh, kind of cups or whatever. As things start heating up, it gets to be a hard game.
mhm. Yeah, and the last thing I wanted to say about controls is the B button. Did you end up using the B button at all?
Uh, Not a whole lot. Probably not as much as I should have.
Yeah, I found after learning what it does, it took a while to wrap my head around what it does. That that too is a pretty big game changer. Um, according to the manual, press the B button as you ski over a wave, and you can soften the bouncing of your jet ski watercraft, called dampen the waves. And I think the whole logic for this is that when you're racing a jet ski, the only time you're going to be accelerating is when you're in contact with the water, right? So
Yes.
if you're on a jump, you're in the air, you're not moving any water with your propeller. And so it makes sense from a speed perspective to always be in contact with the water as much as you can. And that's what that's for. So you ideally want to be mashing it like 90% of the time
Yeah.
for maximum
Keep
speed.
yourself sucked down onto the water the best you can.
Yep. That that will get you much faster, I found, and is what's absolutely critical in the time trial mode for sure.
It's kind of funny that they even think to add a button like that. Like why you don't just automatically do that.
Yeah.
But it's Nintendo. They do what they want.
It can also backfire on the waves and slow you down.
Yeah. If you suck onto a wave that's not in the angle that you want, yeah, you'll slow you basically just chop the wave,
Hmm.
kind of cut through the middle of it. It's not really what you want to do. You kind of want to bounce off of it.
So I guess we could talk about the buoy system because that's another critical component of the gameplay.
Yeah.
Um, right. So the way buoys work is that it's like a slalom, right? You have to go
Yep.
to the left
Back
side
and
of the
forth.
ones with left, yep, right side of the right buoys, and each time you pass a buoy, you get 1 bar of a speed meter at the bottom, and I think that's 6 different slots for speed,
Yep.
and each one you pass it adds another until you hit max speed, and um, each time you miss a buoy, it bumps down to 0, and you have to rebuild your meter back up, and you lose speed by doing that, obviously.
Yeah. Missing a buoy is going to be critical in your time.
Hmm. But it also presents an opportunity to strategically miss buoys, which was most prominent on Sunset Bay. Actually, at the very finish, you can completely skip like the last 2 or 3 buoys,
And cut time
um,
on.
and just drive off into the out of bounds area, because the finish line is just like, you don't have to go through the posts of the finish line. It just
Yeah.
extends out into infinity. Um, and you get up to 5 misses of the buoys. So yeah, it's an interesting element of strategy, because sometimes missing buoys will actually save you time than
Yeah.
trying to work your way around depending on your position to make it. I thought was really
Especially in that
interesting.
scenario.
Hmm.
Well, we touched on the characters a little bit. Well, who are the other two characters listed in the manual?
Is Hayami, who's just kind of the all-rounder guy, who also is a
Yeah,
trophy in Smash Melee.
that's right.
Uh, and Jeter, I believe, is the other one. Yeah, Miles Jeter, who I found had really sensitive handling. Um, is the only one I had to shift the handling meter down on the machine settings. All the rest I had it all the way to the right, or all the way
Yep.
to the left. Sorry, and I found he was pretty good for tricks, but he was just kind of middling when it came to speed.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, his handling is probably the only thing that differentiates him from the other guy.
Mhm. Yeah, my advice to anyone playing this game: if you want to win, pick Mariner. He's gonna feel weird at first. It's gonna take a while, but if you stick with Mariner and you really learn that diagonal left or right technique and
Yeah.
the B pressing, you're gonna tear up the waves. You're gonna be flying past everyone.
And then I'll go through the list of the race courses. The first one you have Dolphin Park. Then you have Sunny Beach, Sunset Bay, Drake Lake, Marine Fortress, Port Blue, Twilight City, which is the night city course you were talking about. Uh, Glacier Coast, which I believe has like the little penguin guys in it,
Yep.
and the Southern Island. And which one of these was your favorite?
Ooh, I mean, I like most of them. I think I would probably say Glacier Coast, just because I like the ice aesthetic.
Yep. I think that's probably my favorite one too. I always like the ice races. Kind of as we are talking earlier about Hydro Thunder. I always like the ice courses in that game too. There's like some different aspects of them.
It must be cold to wipe out the.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Get instant pneumonia if you fall off your jet ski in Glacier Coast.
Hmm. Yeah, one thing on Glacier Coast I noticed, it was just a neat little detail that was totally unnecessary, but if you if you just stop your jet ski and look at the penguins and the crowd and whatnot, all the people in the crowd, which are just like, like the 2D cutout
Yep,
textures for
yep.
N64, all of the people in there have like winter coats on. Like, that was
Except for
such
you.
such an unnecessary detail. Like, They could have just
Yeah,
easily just copied pasted
the rest of them from the.
the flat featureless like stock people from the other
Yep.
tracks and just threw it in there. But nope, I thought that was neat. That was really cool.
There's really not a single one that just feels underdeveloped. Like I feel like they did a good job on pretty much every one of these.
Yeah, there's
I
it's
think the
only it's only 9, I guess technically 8
yeah,
in the
Stolfa
championship.
Park is
Yeah, it's just
kind of
like the
like the
training one.
training one. Uh, I think Drake Lake is my least favorite one.
Your least favorite? Oh, is it
I
because
think
the polls or whatever?
I think so. Yeah, if I remember right, or maybe no. Wait a minute. I think I like Marine Fortress less because that's the one that
Yeah,
has the worst waves.
yeah. Marine Fortress and Port Blue are tricky.
Yeah. No, Dolphin Park was like a nice little add in there for the kind of tutorial stage,
Hmm.
and you can ride the dolphin.
Yeah, that's true. I did do that.
Yeah,
Nice little
it's kind of
novelty.
cool little throw in there for the game.
Hmm. Uh, how far did you get in championship mode?
I think
I'm
you were
curious.
asking me that, and I don't. I honestly don't remember how far I made it. A lot of these courses, I still remember uh, from the past. Like I can sit here and like just imagine the. I can see them in my head still. I played them so much. Um, I definitely know that I did not make it very far.
Oh,
The did you do pretty fairly well on any of the other time trials for the courses? Did you kind of compare any of those to Rickards?
um, admittedly, I didn't really do any time trials, like
Other
serious time trials and other courses. Yeah, I figured I'd dedicate my attention to Sunset Bay for that and just experience all the rest in championship.
there you go, got you $10.
Yeah. Um, yeah, the championship is interesting. Like this game is definitely one that's meant to be replayed. Like I think
Oh yeah,
if you go into this game expecting like a big meaty campaign, you're probably going to be disappointed. But um, there's there's 4 different levels of championship. There's I think it's just like normal, hard, expert, and then reverse. And each one you beat unlocks the next one, culminating with reverse.
maybe that's where they got the reverse or the mirror mode for Mario Kart. It's doing it in reverse.
See, that's interesting because they call it mirror mode in Mario Kart, but here it's reverse. And I think there's
Yes.
this. It might be a difference because the buoy layouts are different in reverse. It is kind of like an extra.
Well, in mirror mode on Mario Kart, you're not necessarily going in reverse. You're doing the track on a mirrored layout.
Yep.
It's like if you were looking at, they're going to be symmetrical side by
Yeah.
side
Yep. Exactly.
instead of going through the course reverse. So, I mean, it's just a different idea for a racing game, and it kind of makes me wonder if whenever they were going to develop Mario Kart, they were like, "Hey, remember we did that reverse thing for Wave Race? Let's do something like that for Mario Kart."
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'd have to imagine mirror mode would probably be easier to develop because it's just it's you just pop in
Oh
the
yeah,
the mirror function and that's it. Reverse, I felt like in Wave Race was definitely needed different strategy than expert.
and there's some things like you have to change because there's parts of courses where you go over a ramp to
Yeah, that too.
get over an obstacle. So now the ramp has to be flipped. There's just some different things that have to be set up in order for it to work. You can't just say, okay, do the race backwards.
Yep. The
So,
tunnel in Port Blue was a nightmare in reverse.
yes.
Um, but I guess going back to the different levels of difficulty, Twilight City, Glacier Coast, and Southern Island. Oh no, not Southern Island. Just Twilight City and Glacier Coast are locked away behind hard and expert, so you'll
Yep.
only see those on those difficulties. I will say though that championship mode probably has my biggest gripe with this game. Um, I'll try to keep my rant short, but it's it does it. So championship mode does kind of an annoying thing that some other older racing games do, where it enforces arbitrary rules that only apply to the player.
Yes. It is very
Um,
annoying.
yep. So championship mode has Grand Prix style ranking where each racer you get points for your place in the race, and then the person with the highest point total is the winner, which is totally fine. That seems fair. But in Wave Race, it also requires a certain cumulative point threshold to be met at the end of each race. I'm sure you've seen
Yep.
that number at the end of each one. Yep. Or else, and if you don't meet that, the racer is disqualified. Uh, so on paper, that's fine too, you know. But the infuriating part is that this rule only applies to you, the player. The
Yep.
computer racers are free to be as
Yeah,
terrible as they want.
their
But
score is not even counted at the end.
yep, you'll see all of them in every race at the end of the championship. We can have like single digits by then and still be racing.
Yep.
And
It's pretty
this,
annoying.
to make this worse, this allows for the really stupid scenario where you could have so many points where it's impossible for the computers to catch up by the final race. But if you don't place high enough in that last race, you can still lose the whole championship.
Yep.
And
It's not
that
like Mario Kart like Grand Prix where like if you get to the last race and you've won all three of the other races, you can
you can
pretty
lay an
much
egg.
you could pretty much just completely lay an egg and still, unless somebody else got second for every race and then won the next race, like
Yep.
it'd be pretty hard to lose. Yeah, no, in
That's
this game you don't get that luxury.
yeah, that scenario actually happened to me on my first attempt of reverse.
Ooh.
But luckily it doesn't take that much time to go through a championship. It's only like 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, 30, something like
Yeah,
that.
it's not too bad.
But still, I can only imagine that this was implemented as kind of a way to force more replayability.
Yep. Play through it again.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, it has like a really arcadey feel to it. So like this game was meant for you to be like to basically be like a quarter eater, make you play it over and over again.
Yeah, it seems like something that should have been in our arcade, but it isn't. Like with the
Yeah.
whole jet ski apparatus to
Oh
sit
man,
on.
yeah, they could have easily just made a jet ski that you lean on to turn it like all those other games, motorcycle games. But
Missed
yeah,
opportunity.
you got anything you want to add, or have we gone through the game?
Oh, that's the bulk of it. I mean, despite my complaints, I really enjoyed it. I I didn't listen to much of the music. I just kept it on
Oh
for
yeah,
the first
yep.
the first championship, and then I
None
was
of
like,
it's
okay, I'm gonna put on a podcast now for the rest of
yeah. It
this.
doesn't really like stand out as a great soundtrack, but kind of like to what you said, we can at least mention the announcer is very fun in the game.
Yeah,
And apparently, just recently, they found out that that announcer was supposed to be kind of rude
Uh huh.
in the initial setup of the game.
Yeah, he
I
gets pretty
can't
sassy.
I can't
Really
remember
funny.
who. I think it was Vinny posted a video of something that they broke down. They found like the old tracks for the announcer, and he was even worse. Originally, they had to like kind of tone him back a little bit, but no, they do a good job. The announcer's a nice touch.
Hmm. Yeah, he's sometimes sarcastic,
Yeah,
but yeah,
but
that
the
I think that
music.
was. Go ahead.
I was to say the music is really is just kind of there. Like I can't. It's not one of those games where when I think about the game, the music just automatically pops into my head.
Hmm.
I just remember like the beginning, the opening music for when you start the game up, the title screen.
It's very reminiscent of Wii Sports, and I think it's the same
Yes,
composer, isn't it?
probably if I had to guess. I don't have that information right in front of me, but definitely sounds like it could be Wii Sports.
Hmm.
It just kind of serves the purpose of not being silent while you're playing. But yeah, that's all I have. If you can't think of anything extra, we can kind of move our way towards the outro.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So, with the outro, I usually give uh, my guest a chance to talk about anything that they have going on, any kind of content you're creating, or just really anything.
Hmm. Well, I am Bozo on Discord, Bozo6646. Um, I don't really have any public social medias aside from a GitHub. I'm Infinite Blue GX on GitHub. I do Wii homebrew development from time to time. I'm I'm also a member of Lost Media Wiki and uh, have been very active with the Slamfest '99 search. If you've heard of that on Reddit or elsewhere.
Or
Um,
on the podcast we did for Smash.
yeah, that too. Uh, but yeah, you feel free to reach out to me and chat if you want to talk about like CRTs. I'm a big CRT guy, or racing games. I'd love to chat and talk some F-Zero GX if anyone if anyone wants to do
Yes.
that.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to set something up. I think Dan's wanting to learn how to play that game.
I would unironically be a coach for free. I wouldn't mind
There you go.
if he ever does a live stream. I'm totally down.
I'll have to remind him that he's gonna have to do it so that I think he still has a game. I'm pretty sure he'll have to hop on there and stream it, and you can coach him up.
That would be so
But
much fun.
yeah, man, thanks for coming on. Uh, if anyone that's listening is in our Discord and want to chat, hit him up. So
Yeah, show me your CRTs.
yes, CRTs are amazing. I have one that uh, doesn't get played on near enough. It's always fun to go back and revisit though, and especially if I want to play our next show's game uh, on original hardware. CRT is the only way to play it,
Yes,
and
it.
that game is going to be Super Mario Kart, another racing game. So I'll have to put the word out in Discord and find some people that want to come talk about that in a couple weeks. I don't know.
Cool.
Are you a Super Mario Kart guy?
Oof. I've tried. Um, I probably should sit that one out because I probably wouldn't have
It's
much positive to say, unfortunately.
oh man, it's another one of those games that I have fond memories of playing it as a kid. Uh, but it doesn't really hold up as well
No,
uh,
it
going
doesn't.
back to it. Not as well as other Mario Kart games, I'll say that, but definitely going to be fun looking back at it for sure.
Yeah, if the computers didn't play by different rules and just Mario can turn on an invincibility whenever he wants, I'd probably enjoy it more. But
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a lot of rubber banding with that game too. That's pretty bad.
and then
Well,
Dynamite Heady after that.
yep, and then Dynamite Heady. We'll close out the. Well, that'll probably be the start of the. At the end of this month, start of the next month, we'll do that show, and we'll announce the winner of the contest.
Sweet. Everyone listening, please play Dynamite Heady. It's really, really good. You'll really like it.
It's a strange game, but the gameplay and the mechanics are solid, and it is fun. Like even if it looks kind of weird for normal taste, like it plays so good that you'll just hop right in. You'll feel right at home. But that's it for this one. We're going to close her out. Thanks for listening to On Topic Retro, part of the retrologic family of podcasts. If you'd like to send in your personal experiences for the next show but don't have Discord, you can send those over to ontopicretro@gmail.com. If you haven't joined our wonderful non-toxic retrologic Discord and would like to, you can visit retrologic.games for details on how to join for free. We don't charge anything to be a part of the Discord. It's a just a open community for all retro gamers that are looking for refuge from probably other Discords that aren't as friendly as ours. I'll just keep it that way. Uh, you can check out all kinds of other things at retrologic.games as well. There's all of our other family of podcasts. You have Retro Groove, Retro Logic, and Film Logic. You can find all those shows over there, and as well as lots of other places where you listen to podcasts from. We also have a blog where Sam usually curates most of the content there, and it's usually some pretty good articles about random things that he wants to talk about. And here lately, we've also been throwing some reviews on there. They're not as common and steady as I would like yet, but we're getting closer, and having some more people submit reviews is very helpful. And I would also like to thank everyone that is submitting reviews to be put up on there. And hopefully, everybody's out there reading them and enjoying them and learning from them. We have a merch section on the page. You can go buy things like coasters and stickers and T-shirts and all kinds of stuff on there now. And all those things kind of help support the show. We don't really uh, have any other means at the moment that we use to support the show, so those are just kind of the things we throw out there. But that's pretty much retrologic.games in a nutshell. And that's it for this episode. You can stay tuned for more. There will always be more, and we'll catch you later. Bye now.